Welcome, everybody, to episode 9 of the Anonymous Gaming Podcast. Um, if you're checking this out on YouTube, thank you. Maybe hit that like or subscribe button. Um, and come and check us out live every Saturday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. We shoot to do this every Friday, or every Saturday, sorry. I'm stupid. But, what are we at? In 8 out of 9 times we've done it at the same time, same day. We've only had one where we had to move it. So, but with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and kick it off with some interesting things that we have found with AMD, right? And their new GPUs. So what you were telling me before, I couldn't really find much. But you said that like there were some new benchmarks and stuff that came out. Was that right?
Yeah, so I don't know exact numbers, but um, AMD performance numbers compared to Nvidia numbers were AMD was performing on par or slightly higher for gaming tasks
Mm-hmm.
than Nvidia equal
Yeah. So,
performance 30 series.
what I found, and here, I guess we can kind of start with pricing here because that's kind of what I'm under now. So they don't have necessarily ray tracing, which was kind of weird, but they have some like simulated type ray tracing, I guess, is kind of what it
Yeah.
looked like. But anyways, the RX 6800, which is that's the bottom tier. That would be kind of like a 3070, is 579. Um and then you move up to your 6800 XT, which is more like your 3080. It's a $649 price tag. And I'm trying to find the 6900. It's $1,000. So it's kind of it's
Price.
yeah, I mean it's kind of there like with Nvidia's stuff, but it's kind of weird. It starts out higher, but it ends lower. So your bottom tier card is more expensive, right? Because a 3070 is like, what is it supposed to be? Supposed to be like 380, I think, isn't it?
Couldn't tell you.
Okay. I thought it
The
was
37, I think the 3070 is 500.
okay. So
Because
then
the
they're
30, I think it goes 500 for the 3070, 3080's 800 or 799,
okay.
and then the 3090 is like I think 1000 or
Yeah.
close to that.
Yeah, they have the 3090 here on the website I'm looking at. It's 15 is what they're saying.
15. Okay.
Yeah. And then they're showing okay, yeah, so they show that the 6800 XT, which is like the 3080, is $50 cheaper. So what would that be, 600? Right? Yeah, so
Yeah.
no, they'd be at 700.
Right.
And then okay, yeah, they kind of, if I would have read a little bit more. The 3070 is $80 more than the 6800,
Yeah.
which is 580, so that would make them 660 on the 3070. So they are cheaper, which is cool.
Right.
But
I saw a guy called Jay's Two Cents on YouTube, and I think he put it best as far as like price to performance goes.
yeah,
It seems that like the the 6800, both the regular one and the XT, sit like one just in front and one just behind the 3070 as far as price to performance goes.
yeah,
And then the 6800 is kind of a little bit ahead of um
3070.
the 60, yeah, the 3070,
Mm-hmm.
but drastically behind performance wise, in like a bigger gap. Like he literally had the cards in front of him on the table,
Yeah,
and he said that like there was a big gap, the biggest gap between the XT and the 3080, and then it was the 6900, kind of a little ways past the 3080, and then right in front of that was the 3090.
I
Just
gotcha.
because the 3090 is so fucking expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. So he was just kind of weighing out your price to performance. Like,
Right. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of,
Specifically price to performance, not like actual like straight up performance or straight up
yeah.
price.
Yeah, I feel like if you're in the market and AMD has a track record of not having very good GPUs, and actually they have a very long track record of rebranding the same GPUs as new.
Yeah,
So,
also true.
so with that being said, you're looking at $50 more. You know, if you're looking at the 3080, you're like, oh, I'll save $50 for this 6800 XT.
Mhm.
But the performance isn't there, right? Like it's just,
It's damn close in
is
a
it?
lot of the, and it's less for sure,
Yeah.
but it's close
Okay.
in a lot of the tests I've seen. I think personally my biggest argument as far as AMD versus Nvidia, especially with before these new series cards,
Yeah.
um, would have been uh, features. So
Yes.
RTX Voice just left beta and is now part of the, I forget what they call it.
Is it that
It's
Nvidia program that they have?
Yeah, and it's literally free with any Nvidia 20 series or 30 series card. It's just a feature that you get,
And it's
and
pretty
it's
good.
yeah.
It
I
works
used
amazingly.
Yeah, I used RTX while it was in, or Voice while it was in beta, and I mean, I could sit here and type louder than a
Yeah.
building falling down, and I could just talk, and
Yeah.
you would only hear my voice.
Yeah, it works really good. I tried out the green screen while it was in
Yeah,
beta.
that's what it's tied into now, because the
Yes.
voice portion was just in beta, so
Yeah.
now that's all tied into one.
Yeah. So I had a 2060, and I tried the green screen, and I wish
Hmm.
I would have switched out how I streamed, because I was streaming with that NVM, or what is it, I'm trying to think of what they call it, the different mode. You have your, like, one uses your CPU, one uses your GPU. Um, but
Oh, like the type of encoding that you're
yeah,
doing?
yep. So I
Okay.
was using the GPU at that time, and
Uh-huh.
it pulled too much. The green screen did at that time.
Gotcha.
So now I switched out to a Titan X Pascal series, and I wish I would have switched my encoding to my CPU like I have with this Titan before, and I wish I would have tried out the green screen because it worked pretty decently.
Yeah. How do you like that Titan, man? I've never known one
It's
personally that has one.
it's it's pretty decent. It's kind of weird because it has so much memory.
Right. It's a memory or a
Learning.
production
Yeah.
based
It's kind of like
GPU,
yeah, it's not
or
really
focused,
yeah,
production focused, I should
exactly.
say.
Yeah. It's not really for gaming. It works decent for gaming though. It's
Right.
better.
It does the trick.
I think it's better than my 2060. Um,
Yeah.
and for the price, I only paid like $550 for it. So
Wow. Yeah, that's a steal.
yeah, I mean if you think about it too, it's like 5 years old, which kind
True.
of sucks.
True.
But it was so far ahead back then.
Hmm.
So
And it's still
you're
a production horse. I
oh
mean,
yeah.
there's,
If
I
I'm in
mean,
Photoshop or something, it's
yeah,
badass. It's awesome.
yeah. Or like we were talking earlier, with like AutoCAD and stuff. I mean, you
Yeah.
would be able to have huge builds
Oh
inside
yeah.
of that.
I was watching videos. I was kind of getting into like hacking a little bit, and there is this company where they have 5 of these in one computer, and on
Hmm.
separate, they would basically just tap into this computer whenever they needed it, and they would use them to hash out passwords.
Yeah.
They were a penetration testing company, and
Yeah.
they
Nice.
would literally be able to hash out trillions of passwords in like a minute.
Yeah.
It's
It the
nuts.
Yeah, there's a I was listening to a crime podcast one time, and they were talking about how this dude was that was a suspect was really good at encrypting all of his files, and he had like terabytes on terabytes of hard drives worth of stuff that they could not get into.
Yeah.
But they finally found one that they knew was the one they needed in, and they had a company probably just like that one where they had just Titans or
Yeah, whatever.
nowadays they probably got whatever else,
Yeah.
and yeah, they had like $200,000 worth of parts just to try and crack encryptions.
Yeah.
And I mean that shit is insane because like crypto miners use production like Titans like
Yeah.
that too,
Yeah, I'm
just
sure
because of
that's
that raw computational power.
yeah. I'm sure that's what mine was used for.
More than likely, yeah. And
And
it is what it is.
yeah, I had this weird issue at first, and it occasionally happens where the screen will just go black. Like, and just my main like gaming screen though. It's none of my other 3 that are connected to it. Just the main gaming screen, and it hasn't happened for a while. But
Yeah,
I think
that's good at least that it doesn't just out everything.
Yeah, and I think it was just a driver issue. Because I have my driver set up on auto update, so I'm sure they kind of Nvidia's seen that or whatever. There's a lot. I mean, think about how diverse computers are, but
Right.
yeah. So that whenever I was looking at buying something out of the GTX series, the way that they kind of split it up is you have your GTX, GeForce, your gaming, so up to your 1080 Ti, and then right there in between your GeForce series and your what are they, Quattros? Yeah.
Yeah, Quadros. Yep.
Yeah, so their Quadros sits that Titan. So it's kind of like that in between. It's really weird. They have it, it's for something specific, but I don't know. That was a weird that was off in left field. but yeah, so back to AMD.
Right. The one other thing I do know is that the one big plus, especially for people that have Ryzen CPUs already or plan on getting the new ones, is the they've got this capability now where the GPU, if you allow it, it's just like a switch in the setting. You can allow the GPU to pull from some of the memory, or
oh yeah, I think I know from the CPU. No,
it's like smart access memory is what they call it.
Is
I've heard of that.
Is that the Infinity Cache, or do they call it that, the smart access memory? I couldn't remember.
Maybe that's what they're named for it, but like the
no, it is smart
access memory.
Yeah, so they have smart access memory, and that's cool. I didn't understand
exactly
it
how
like
it works,
that.
but it allows one or the other to tap into the other's memory to help with computations.
Yeah, that's cool.
And
it
it's
is
not.
It is for your GPU though. That's
Okay, right.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's not like crazy as far, mainly because things aren't optimized for it yet.
Yeah. Yes. So they're saying here that you can get 13%, but you can get as low as 2%. So it's like you're saying, it's not optimized yet.
Right. And that 13%, I mean, that's still a decent chunk. That,
yeah.
That could be,
that could be 10 frames.
Exactly. Or, if you're production, editing a video, or
that could be cutting down a minute.
Exactly.
So.
And for, companies that need that time, that could be an investment that they need.
They have some really cool stuff that they introduced. Here's one thing that I thought was really weird. They haven't stepped up to GDDR6 memory yet. They are still on GDDR6. They haven't stepped up to the R6X. So it's a little bit slower memory. And they all have 16 gigs. It's not like a Nvidia card where you're getting more memory with it too. So it's kind of weird, but they have like these different things that they've put on here, like you were talking about, smart access memory and Infinity Cache, which is, I don't really understand. It's kind of like, I guess they can share memory somehow. I don't know. It says AMD will enable 128 megabytes across all 3 graphics cards for Infinity Cache. It's new, but the technology's new and untested, and they can't really be sure of how appropriate that number is.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering what exactly they're saying, if that's kind of like You know what I mean? Because they don't say, "Oh yeah, you get this with Infinity Cash." They're just kind of like, "Yeah, we have Infinity Cash, and you get this much." I haven't really understood what it's for. You know?
Right. Yeah,
Uh,
there's a lot of. It seems like they're definitely trying, and they have, like you mentioned earlier, they've started to um, dabble into ray tracing. Obviously, it's not going to be anywhere near as good as
yeah,
Nvidia's, just because they've had all this time and they've got the architecture there.
yeah, definitely. But it is. I looked at a video on it, and it's comparable for sure.
Right. It's
It's
just the performance during that is not so
right.
comparable. The actual look of it is definitely
Yeah.
there.
Yep. I think the frames were lower though on the AMD. I think that
Yeah.
was the big thing. Like they
Right.
look the same almost.
Mm.
If not AMD being a little bit better, I thought. Just
Yeah.
from watching it on YouTube.
It depended on the game. Once again, it's
Yeah.
optimization.
Yeah. Yep.
Because there was shoot, what was I gonna say? I watched another video that was showing like the first glimpse of the ray tracing between the two, and they were doing it on different games to try and get a sense of it. And like it was competing here and there, and maybe even beating on certain games. And then there was like a couple games where it just straight up was unplayable with any ray tracing on, even if
Yeah.
settings were at on the low side.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah,
And
I
it,
think
it
it's
just
gonna
comes back to the optimization, and I think something that people might, I don't know if it's something to worry about or if it's just another difficult decision that like gamers and consumers will have to like try and make up their mind on when making a purchase decision.
yeah.
But there could be a future where certain games only have ray tracing on AMD or only have Nvidia ray tracing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool to have the option. And I think the longer that these cards that can actually handle it are out from AMD, I think the more it's going to get used, or that the developers of the game are going to kind of optimize the game for it, you know? Because right now, as far as I know, you can't really do ray tracing on like the last generation, right? Like the last generation AMD doesn't have any ray tracing, does it?
Uh,
N-
I
I,
no,
Yeah,
yeah, I
so
don't
I
think
don't
so.
think so.
so then that's like not in anybody's wheelhouse as a game developer right now. They're not even thinking about, oh, we need to see if this guy's running an AMD graphics card and we need to have a ray tracing profile for it. Or however, I don't develop games, but I imagine it works something kind of like that, you know?
Right.
All about how you, because they've already had the 20 series out, they all do ray tracing. Um, they've had to do that, so it's already there. They just thought AMD wasn't gonna put it on there or whatever. So maybe some of them were like, oh yeah, we're in touch with them and we can get something out with it. So
Right.
it'll probably get better over time if the cards are good.
Yeah. No, they just need to perfect it. I mean,
Yep.
Nvidia had, I think Nvidia's big strong suit when it comes to ray tracing was their invention and optimization of DLSS with 2.0 coming out. I
Yeah.
mean, the GPU renders it at a lower resolution and then uses its smart AI that they've had years of practice and tuning on, and
Yeah.
which unfortunately for AMD they haven't had,
Yep.
and they use that to their advantage to help upscale the resolution as well as reflections and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
definitely. I mean, AMD has definitely been behind the ball in my opinion, just because they've been the
I agree.
underdog for so long.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm a Ryzen fanboy, but as
yeah.
far as GPUs go, I can't.
Yeah.
I just can't.
Yeah, and I'm like the exact opposite. Even now, kind of knowing that AMD outperforms Intel, like
Hmm.
I'm still on that Intel bandwagon for some reason.
I mean, they're still good chips.
Yeah,
Like
they're
there's
they're
there's
not
no
bad.
denying that.
No,
It's just
AMD
if they're
outperforms them though. It's
now they do right,
yeah,
and that's just a new thing.
right.
So
Yeah, I mean, even like the last generation, they were catching them. They're right there, like pretty much neck and neck. Yeah, so they didn't really in this article that I found really compare the cards to the 30 series. The only one that they really compared it to was like the 2080 Ti, and they're like, well, it's better. I think they said they gave something 40 to 50% faster but it's kind of a question because it's a leak for them, I guess. So they're kind of like it might be this, but
Right.
um, it's kind of what's the 3070 outperform it by like 10%. So then they're kind of claiming like 30 or 40% maybe better than the
Mm.
3070. Oh, we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. But
Yeah, I mean, I've seen good things.
yeah,
The tech channels that I watch, they're all impressed. They wish there was more, or that it was better than it turned out. But they're
yeah,
happy with the route AMD is on, and I
yeah,
I say so as well. I'm still personally not going to buy them, but
yeah,
it's something to look forward to. They're on the right track and they're trying to be competitive.
yep. Yeah, I agree. You gotta get your foot moving in the right direction first. I think they've been doing
Exactly.
that the past couple generations. I
Definitely.
I can't really find anything as far as releasing though, so I don't even know off the top of my head when they've announced a release or anything. So
I think I think they are they out.
they might
At
be.
least two. I think two of them are at
Yeah,
least.
I seen a
I don't
Linus
remember what the date was.
LTT video talking about kind of how they dropped the ball. So I don't know if that was. I didn't watch it. I wish I would have, but I don't remember, or I wish I would have seen if they were talking about like they're kind of having the same issue with supply or what. Because that would be,
Yeah, it was kind of another paper launch, so to speak,
hmm,
is what they're calling it.
yeah. I what's kind of impressive to me is the big jump that they've made in their process though. They went from their 14 nanometer to their 7 nanometer. So
Yeah,
like
insane.
how much more efficient is that just going to be? Like you're going to need a lot less power for that.
Yeah, and I think that's also one of the big differences, especially from AMD to AMD, from their
Yeah.
last gen to this gen, but even comparable to Nvidia now. I mean, they're like having, if not more,
Mhm.
the the rated power supply drain that you would, the rated power that you would need to supply your GPU alone.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people with 3080s out here, and I've heard both LTT and Jay's 2 cents say that with a 3080 and almost any CPU, 750 is almost not enough. Like you can
Yeah.
definitely do it, but they would still recommend higher. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of insane,
They're on a
especially with
7
people.
nanometer though, aren't they? Aren't the new
I
Nvidia chips on that
I
too?
think so. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah, it's still power hungry though.
Very, very.
I think I got a pretty overkill for mine. I think I have an 850.
Yeah.
And I just have an i7, the 10th gen i7 and that Titan, so
Yeah,
I
I
get
bet
it.
that Titan pulls a decent amount though.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Jelly, what was one thing that you had for us that you brought
Um,
to the table? I mean, you brought it all to
uh,
the table, but that you wanted to talk about?
so CS:GO, like professional players are starting to be bribed again to throw matches.
Oh, no shit.
Um, it was this Australian player I think that just got banned. Um,
Barely.
for I think he was taking a bribe to throw one of his games, and I mean, I'm I'm surprised that this hasn't come to more professional like esports teams and stuff. I'm surprised it's as small of an issue as it is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I can't believe CS:GO is still kind of popular cuz that game is so old, dude.
it is. It came out in like 2005, I think, the original Counter Strike.
Yeah. So, that's kind of nuts. I mean,
It's insane. It's
so
I mean, yeah.
basically there's a bunch of these players that are getting bribed and they're starting to get caught.
Yeah, I know there was this huge scandal a couple years ago in the esport like what's it called, area.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently it's coming back, and let's hope it doesn't become a big thing.
Yeah, that'd be unfortunate. Like, I don't see. I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, I always try to work that out in my head. You know, how much somebody's gonna pay you to throw it compared to what maybe you would win or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was only $2,000
Yeah. So
to throw like a tournament, which doesn't really make sense to me.
yeah,
But
I don't know how much they make or anything, but at
I
the
don't know
same
either.
time, maybe it's that guaranteed money. Maybe they like that guaranteed. Like, yeah, it's definitely $2,000 if you lose.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like your competitive spirit would outweigh that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's no way I could throw anything. I don't think.
For
For
2,000 for like a
no,
professional like esport tournament? No,
for
no
money at
fucking
all.
way.
For money at all. Like, just my. I don't think I could let my morals slouch that much for any amount of money. I mean, I would definitely be tempted. For anybody to say that they wouldn't be tempted would be a lie.
Yeah.
But but it like it'd be something I would have to think about for a little bit, and I don't think
what,
that I could do it just because of that.
what if it was like 100 grand to give away a world title?
I don't
Like
think I'd do it.
100 grand?
Yeah,
Or are you gonna be the world's number 1 gamer? You know?
yeah, yeah. I don't think that I could let my morals slouch like that. I would definitely. I'm not saying I wouldn't be tempted at all because I would definitely think about it. I mean, the things that I could do
Right.
with 100 grand, you know.
That can set people up for life if
Oh yeah,
used right.
yeah, for sure. Like, but morally, like I'm the type of person now. I'm kind of at that age where I've learned to think things through a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't act on the first impulse. And my first impulse would be like, yeah, take it, let's get her done. But then I'd sit back and I'd think about it, and I'm almost certain that I would not take it.
And looking at it too, it's like you're playing a team game.
Yeah,
Like it's not just you.
right.
So you throw that game, you're screwing your teammates out of a title, something that you've all worked hard for,
Yep,
something that you yourself have worked hard for too.
yep.
And also, I mean, if anyone felt like, even if you pretend that, like, let's uh, set up a scene where you don't get found out. Like, I'm one of those people. I would go insane trying to live with that.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
could not personally, but it's just like you said. I mean, it's the moral dilemma of like, I mean, if it's a solo game, that's one thing, but
Yep.
you're literally throwing your boys underneath the bus so that you can walk away with the cash.
Yeah,
And
there's no
plus,
way.
now, granted, I know that no world title is gonna let one single player come home with 100 grand, but there's money involved. Like, I feel
Mhm.
like a lot of the people that are in esports as well, at least some, obviously we know now that not all of them are in it just for the fun and for
Yeah,
the glory, but I guess I have a higher expectation for them.
yeah, definitely.
You know, as I may, I'm not exactly a great gamer, so maybe that's just the noob in me, but it's kind of outlandish. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, I
And I mean,
always.
go ahead.
Oh my bad. But like I was just saying, I think about it too. Like I said, you get to that age and you're like, all right, I got to really kind of think about this. And you're not only you know stepping all over your morals, whatever you've been raised to do, what's right, what's wrong, and on top of that, like, what are you setting the look for your community, for the people that do the same thing that you do, and for the kids or the younger generation that wants to come up and do what you do, the people that look up to you.
Right.
You just that's kind of the big thing to me. I'd look at all the three of those things. It'd be like, for Jelly, like, if say let's just say Jelly looked up to me for whatever reason, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm the best, and somebody's like, hey, I'll pay you $100 to just start shitting on him. To me, it's no different than that.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Oh
I mean, yeah, you're throwing away a good thing
yeah,
for
you're
for money.
you're not only influencing, it's not just you, it's your team, like you said, and then it's also your whole community, every gamer at that point, and then every, the younger generation too. You're not setting them up well. So that's kind of, that's why I wouldn't take the money
Yeah.
in any
Honestly,
situation.
like recent esports kind of baffles me because I mean, just like any publicly available entertainment, there's always scandals. But it's extra, I mean, almost depressing. There's a lot of depressing things in the world, but regardless, it's like, a lot of the people that are professional gamers, I mean, under 18, right?
Yep.
Or at least young. If they are older than 18, they're still young.
Yeah. Yep.
And they're joining these organizations, good or bad, signing contract deals, good or bad. We've heard of deals where players are getting screwed. They can't, post their own content because it goes against their contract.
Yep.
Uh, Limited to, only being able to play one game or whatever it might be. It's like, it's scary that kind of thing is making its way into it now, and not only making its way into it because it's probably been around, but
Yeah.
also being found out and called out.
Yeah, for sure.
There needs to be, I mean, with the NFL, I'm sure they've got some, I guess, I don't know this, but I would assume they've got some sort of like players union, to make sure that, like,
Yeah.
their rights are secured and they're not mistreated, and um, just some sort of safety net, because it's sketchy when you put kids in such a professional, large setting like that.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I take back kids and just say young people in general, like adults or young.
Yeah.
There's just no reason to be putting people in that sort of situation.
Twitch
Yeah.
affiliate is like that. It's you're signing a contract for exclusivity to be exclusively on Twitch,
Right.
and
Exactly.
there's a whole bunch of stuff that you're signing off to that may or may not, depending on your views, outweighs the ability for people to sub to you and getting that, what, $15 a month off of subs, $5 in donations, the $2 in bits.
Yep.
If that money is worth 100% locking yourself into this,
Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
that's, to me, the Twitch affiliate thing is kind of different than like an org deal, because like the Twitch affiliate thing is more so the live stream aspect. Like I think that the partner deal would probably be a little bit different, but
partner deal is
as
different. Partner deal is much
yeah.
more strict, of
Yeah,
course.
so I think that and maybe I'm wrong, I obviously should have read it before I accepted it, I guess. But the affiliate deal to me is like, you cannot stream, live stream on Facebook and YouTube and yada yada.
Right.
We're your main platform, they're kind of like,
Mhm.
we've hosted you or whatever for so long, and we've helped you get to this point where we feel comfortable doing this with you, but you have to do this with us. They're like, we're going to allow you to make money doing this now that you have a little bit of a base, so you have to live with us. That's how I take it. I could be wrong. Like I said, I didn't read it, and I should have, but like
Yeah.
the org deal is a little different because, um, like you said, it is completely exclusive. It's like you can't post your own content, or you're playing one game or whatever.
Right. And obviously that's,
Yeah, that's
it's not
extreme.
everyone.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But we've heard it. It's
Yeah.
happened. Yeah.
Yep. There
They've
should
happened. And
there should be an organization that comes forward and says, um, no different than, like you said, any professional sport. There needs to be an age gap. You cannot be a quote unquote professional gamer until you're this age. And
You're
really,
also
even like the younger, professional, like even baseball players, to me, there's definitely an age gap that I've learned as I've gotten older. Even in the past year, we'll just say that, like how much more mature I've gotten. Um, I've noticed that.
Mhm.
There's definitely like an age deal there. It's just the things that you're gonna you're going to learn over time and in the way that you think about things. You know, you're all hormonal, whether you're a guy or a girl. Up until a
True.
certain age, you don't start to teeter out.
Yeah.
And you know, it varies for everybody, obviously, but you have to come to a general consensus. No different than smoking a cigarette, drinking alcohol. Scientifically, there's a roundabout age where majority of people, you know, they start to teeter out on things. And I think you're completely right, whether it be a union or a some kind of company or whatever, a network,
Right.
you know,
Even if it's just like some
a
sort of
league.
some sort of representation that
Hmm.
is like a backbone for their rights and their,
Right,
I mean, just basic humanity.
right,
If
yeah,
there are young people playing, awesome.
yep,
It just happens to be most of the time that in most games there's going to be younger kids that are better than the adults, and
yep,
for whatever reason that might be, it's just is what it is, and that's fine. I'm not, I personally wouldn't say that we need to take kids out of professional esports because it can change their lives. I mean, these are kids that's what they put their effort in, and
yeah,
if they can make it a big deal like that, I mean, that is amazing,
yeah,
incredible stuff.
yeah. I
But then you've
definitely
got
don't think that you need to take them completely out.
right.
I'd have to come to like or show like a different sport, for instance, like motocross. Like I used to ride motocross a lot,
Okay.
so AMA as a group came together. It's the American Motorcyclist Association. They came together and they said, okay, here's the rules. Everybody has to kind of abide by it. So as an amateur, you're an amateur until you're at least 17.
Okay.
You cannot take any money from anybody to race. You know, you cannot get a monetary sponsorship pretty much. You cannot win money unless you are quote unquote a pro, you know.
Huh.
So
Huh.
they have a pro amateur class and things like that. But then they also have the AMA has a professional, you know, there's a professional series. You know, they do supercross, they do outdoors, and there's a distinct line there. Even with the pro am stuff, it's just, and I think that's what you kind of have to do. You know, you have to set up the smaller deals for these kids to still do, and
Hmm.
then, you know, you still let them kind of go around, whatever, play. If they're really good in their area, then you should let them play with other people that, you know, might be better. You take the best people from so many areas, yada yada, and that's kind of how you diverse them. I don't think you
Yeah.
should, like you said, I don't think you should take them out from the
Right.
experience, but they definitely need to get away from the monetary aspect with it. So, like, you know, instead of Asus sponsoring this 15-year-old kid $15,000 for the year or whatever, they should
Hmm.
give him a monitor or something. You know what I mean? Like that's how the motocross stuff goes. You know, you're good, you get parts. Um,
Right. Yeah. Like here's
that's
some boots and a helmet, or
exactly. Here's some
here's some
motor parts, or
tires. Yeah.
exactly just like that. And I think that's how it should go. I think that's how everything should be. You know, if it's baseball, you're little league, you're good. You know, you can't accept money, but if a company gives you a baseball bat, that's the only baseball bat you use.
Right.
Nobody's gonna say
Yeah.
anything about it, and I think
Uh-huh.
that's how it should be.
Would definitely not be opposed to that. It's just too easy to, especially with, you know, younger people that don't have the experience or knowledge, especially with large sums of money that some of these tournaments go for. The larger tournaments
Yeah,
go for it. And the other scary thing that you have to look out for is, you know, when I say predatory, I mean it a very specific meaning, but predatory parents, that realize the potential of their child and have
yes,
a very greedy sense of, or go about it in a greedy way, like, yeah, I'm gonna utilize my kid to make my
oh yeah,
success.
yep, definitely,
Or but that's the same thing you could run into with that representation we were talking about. Like,
yeah,
there could be a company that hires people to manage gamers, and you could have a manager or two that manipulates their gamer to get them the most money.
yes, I
It
completely agree. It's a slippery
Sketchy
slope.
stuff. It is, yeah, it is.
But
Something that needs looked at, that's for sure.
yeah, I agree. We could kind of, I guess, move on to the next thing. Jelly, do you have anything else, or you want me to take one of my things, or?
Uh, hmm. So Cyberpunk is affecting other games release dates.
That's funny. Have they kicked it back anymore?
No, I think it's still scheduled for this December.
Okay.
But
Yep.
yeah, it's been affecting other games like launch dates in
Yeah.
like a major way.
Yeah.
Like I said it in podcast earlier, but I don't really want to touch into it. This re-release of a game called Kingpin.
Hmm.
It was a retro FPS game from whatever year, 1999, something like that. But yeah, nobody was expecting this game to do anything. I mean, nobody cared, but because it was scheduled for the same day as Cyberpunk, but
Right.
then it got moved back, and then the game started picking up hype and
Yep.
doing all this stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, people just become blind for hype.
Yeah.
It's
Definitely.
crazy how much hype can affect a business like that.
Yeah. So basically, them moving it back, are these other companies wanting to move theirs back, or are you just saying that some of the other games that were supposed to release whenever Cyberpunk was going to release are now a little bit bigger because Cyberpunk's been pushing back?
I'm what I'm trying to say is that each company or whatever, if there's a game released close to Cyberpunk, it's
Hmm.
Cyberpunk is creating such a ripple,
Yeah.
industry. And it's forcing other people's hands,
Yeah, I could see that.
And I think that's
Everybody's
crazy.
everybody's wanting to get out and play Cyberpunk. So all these other game companies are probably kind of biting their nails. If
Yeah,
Cyberpunk
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh no, if Cyberpunk pushes over and then they release whenever my game's supposed to release, oh god, like, oh, we're going to lose a bunch."
Yeah,
And
that was actually one of the big rumors when uh obviously Cyberpunk has pushed the release date back I think 4 times this year.
yeah, something like that.
But when it was pushed back to the November date, that date landed on the same week as Cold War, Valhalla, and Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and one other big game. I'm forgetting which one it was. But there were 3 other big releases that week. And
Yeah.
a lot of the rumor was when they pushed it back to December 10th again, was literally just CG Project Red being a good guy and being like, hey, you guys have your week.
Yeah.
We're not going to try and do that to you.
Yeah.
We'll push it back. I don't
Yeah.
know how realistic that is, but
That'd be
either way,
nice
it's
of
kind
them.
of a right because we all know the hype that's
Oh yeah.
surrounds that game. So
That game is going to pull everybody. It's going to pull every Twitch stream. Like, it's going to be done. I
I
mean,
mean, I'm one of those people. I heard a rumor about it in 2012 when I was gaming on 2012. What was I playing? Probably
Xbox
Halo 3.
360.
Yeah,
Yep.
probably Halo 3, Mass Effect, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And and then they teased it at the 2013 E3 with just the teaser trailer. I
Yeah.
mean, ever since that day, I've been looking it up, finding out what I need to know. I even started looking into the tabletop game that it's based off of. I
Really.
mean, I'm a diehard at this point, and I cannot wait.
Yeah.
And I know
But
there's
yeah,
people that are even worse than I am.
Yep.
I'm hyped for it.
Yeah, I'm
I
I'm gonna know life that game worse than I know life Skyrim back in 2011.
I'm definitely going to have to watch it get played quite a bit. I've watched like the trailers and stuff, but I haven't been that deep into gaming, so I don't know a whole lot about it. That's what I was telling Jelly. Like, I'm going to sit back for probably about a month
Not
and
a bad idea, honestly.
yeah, cuz that's my whole thing with like Cold War. Everybody was pre-ordering Cold War, and
Yeah.
then they come out and they're like, "Oh man, multiplayer sucks and the only thing worth playing is this or whatever." And I'm like, "Well, I kind of nutted up, spent $60 on Warzone, and I didn't watch it before I did, and it
Mm,
sucks to me,
yeah.
because it's so buggy on PC. So
Right.
I'm like, well, I wasted $60. I can't get that back. I don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
One bad experience kind of mold the rest for me. But yeah.
Yeah.
What do you have
When it
about
comes,
Sony, Jelly? That
Uh,
seems kind of interesting.
Sony?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like I guess
so
PlayStation. They're gonna
yeah,
be.
PlayStation is coming out with a new deal similar to Xbox Game Pass.
That'll be good for
Um,
them.
yeah, so it's looking like it's just going to be the catalog of games. It's not going to be bundled with anything. Um, like the Game Pass is bundled with Xbox Live, Gold, whatever it's called. Um,
Ooh.
I think it's going to be the same price, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I
So
don't know
you're
how
gonna
the
have to.
competition.
You're gonna have to pay for your PlayStation Plus or whatever, and that.
Yeah,
I don't think that's a
um,
good move.
it's definitely not. I think Xbox Game Pass is still going to be the better deal, 100%.
Yeah.
But I mean, some people are locked to exclusively PS4. You know.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I could definitely see that. That'd be neat for them to come out with, and like I said, it'd be better if they bundled it. I think, especially if your competition has already bundled it.
I mean, $15 a month for a catalog of 800 games is
It's not bad, but
it's. I think it's worth it 100%. But I mean, if Xbox has just the superior deal,
here's how I look at that though. Okay, out of those, and this is just me. I don't play a lot of games. I don't play a lot of different games. I play a lot of first-person shooters and like Rocket League, and that's it. So for me, just because it has 800 games doesn't make it necessarily worth it to me. Because you're looking at $15 a month. We're talking in 4 months, you could have bought two of those games and been done. And that's if they're AAA titles. You
right,
could
and they're definitely all 800 are definitely not. A lot of those
exactly.
indie
Some of them are
games.
probably 10 or 5.
Right.
So that's how I look at it. Most gamers probably aren't the way that I am. I'm probably the minority in that way. That I only play one kind of game really, and I mean half of the games I play are free. Not
Yeah.
because
That's a
they are
common thing
free.
too.
Yeah,
Right. That's a common thing nowadays too. Is just the free to plays.
yeah,
The games as a service.
yep. And like I don't even. It's not because the games are free to me, because I have games that I've bought, but the free games are just better right now for whatever reason. Like I play Valorant over Rogue Company. Those are both free, but Valorant's just better for me right now. That's what I like more. Or, Warzone. I paid for Warzone and I can't freaking play it half the time.
Right.
I keep coming back to that because that's like the only one, but
the
Still,
sta-
no.
yeah.
but Warzone standalone is free, isn't it?
Yeah, so
The battle royale is
Battle
definitely
Royale, yeah. But I'm not a huge Battle Royale guy.
Yeah,
So,
Modern Warfare is what caused it,
yeah.
I think.
But it is what it is. So I don't think that that's going to be great. Like as a financial standpoint, I would not justify that.
Yeah,
It's
me,
a
me
it's kind of hard to say too, because you're not doing it like if we're on PC. If you're on PC and you're like, okay, well, Steam does a Game Pass and Epic Games is doing a Game Pass. Which one are you gonna do? Because obviously then you're just kind of looking at titles. But
true.
for each of those, it's like, well, they're gonna have kind of an exclusive, and it doesn't really matter because I can't you can't really compare it to the Xbox Game Pass because some of the games aren't even on the PlayStation.
True.
But if you compared the Epic and the Steam, it'd be like, well, they probably. I mean, even that's not really fair, but
I mean, you make a good point though.
yeah,
You have to look at it from what is available on each service. I mean, it's just like TV a service or streaming
right,
services. You've got Netflix, you've got Hulu, you got HBO now, you've got da 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 da. Da.
yeah,
You can watch one show on this, and maybe it's also available on this. Maybe
yep,
not always, very rarely, honestly, with streaming stuff.
right,
But you pick and choose if, especially if you're budgeting for that kind of thing, your entertainment budget, so to speak.
yep,
You It's not just dry. Yep, I'm going to play those games or I'm going to shows. So
Right.
that's what I'm going to get.
Yep.
Because, there could be the new series that comes out that sounds really enticing to you.
Yeah.
Or that new game that comes out that's really enticing. So,
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
it almost makes being a consumer more difficult.
Yeah. It's kind of like it's almost if you go back to like the old cable days. It's not compared to like for us, it wouldn't necessarily be, oh, do I want to do this one or this one? It's, do I want to do the PlayStation Game Pass or do I not want to do the PlayStation Game Pass?
Right.
It kind of sucks, I think. Same with
Yeah,
Xbox.
I would agree. Yeah. I think the nice thing that Xbox did to simplify it was they made it so you can, I think it's still available this way. You can still do just Xbox Live because, you have to pay for
Yeah, to play online.
Right. So you have to pay for that capability still. But I believe they've also split it into technically 3 other options. So the other 3 options include Game Pass. Or right. So the one deal is I think $10 a month,
Mm-hmm.
and you can get your Xbox Live subscription and Game Pass for console
Right.
for that price.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can do the Xbox Live Gold and PC for $10. Or
Yeah.
you can wrap it all together, get Xbox Live Gold, play, and then also play any compatible games for Game Pass on PC and console for
Yeah.
$15.
Yeah. Like, see, like something like that would be good
Mm-hmm.
for PlayStation to do.
Right. It gives people that extra, like,
Incentive.
yeah, and they don't have to necessarily go to the top deal,
Yep.
and pay the full amount if it's not something they're going to use.
Definitely. Definitely. I agree. And it makes it easier for the people that may use it sometimes to just commit to it, even if they don't use it. Like,
Right.
for
Yeah.
$5, $5 a month. To me, I'm like, oh, that's $60 a year. I'll pay $60 a year just in case there's that, handful of times that I want to play it on my laptop or whatever.
It might be outlandish for actual, like, widespread use, but I could even see something as like back in the day, like GameFly,
Yeah.
which was kind of like the original Netflix service where you
Yep.
got sent an actual physical disc. You kept it for a month, 2 if you wanted, and then when you send it back, you get the next game on your list.
Yep.
I could see Sony really benefiting from a cheap alternative to Game Pass, but where they limit you to maybe a certain number of downloads
Yeah,
a
definitely.
month. That way, you can say, okay, well, I know that this game is coming out in March and it's going to be on the Sony Game Pass service when it releases. So let's say, I don't know, the next Splinter Cell or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
So it comes out, and you that's one of your 3 downloads for the month, let's say. And then, let's say because you were waiting for it and you've done nothing but look forward to it, there's only 2 other games that you wanted to play that month and you didn't even have time to do it. Well, you don't feel bad because you still only paid, like 5 or so bucks.
Yeah, definitely.
And you still got to play a $60 full price game for an entire month.
Mm-hmm. I agree. That'd be worth it to me.
Yeah. I think that's really, and I know for Sony it's not as easy because they don't have the financial background that Microsoft does.
Oh yeah.
By any means.
No.
But if they can figure out a way to realistically just bring people to their consoles and also get the service with it,
Yes.
I think that could be super beneficial for them.
I agree. Because even to me, like you said, if it's just a little bit, like if it's $5-10 a month, and you can just take it month by month, I would pay $5 or $10 to try out a AAA title before I bought it. Personally.
Yeah.
Because is it gonna be a game that I want to play? A month is really gonna tell that.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the end of it, that $10 is like, if you didn't like it, you didn't play it very much. It's like, just $10.
Mm-hmm.
Not a big deal. But
Yep.
then, again, if you get to that point where you're like, yeah, I'm just gonna buy this, at the end of the month, then it was just $10, $10 extra to make sure I liked it. So, I mean, some
I mean,
people will go with it, some people won't.
right, and that's the thing. You got to appease the masses somehow,
Yep.
and also, make your dollar.
Yeah, definitely. You gotta get you gotta find out what your big group is and try to please them first. But
Yeah.
while we're on the topic of PS5, they are having some issues. Isn't that right, Jelly?
Yeah.
I think I brought this up last week, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, but
And you were like, no, I haven't heard that.
yeah, I hadn't, but
Yeah. So then
it's
there's
getting to
actually
it's
more.
yeah, it's getting to the point where entire consoles are being bricked.
Yeah. So
Yikes.
here's the two things that I found last week. It was the coil whine, so they're really loud for some reason, whether it being a fan or whatever. Um, okay, it's a sticky label inside the case. That's kind of weird. And then they also have the disc games uninstalling, so you'll install it on your hard drive or whatever, the actual disc game, and then it'll uninstall for whatever reason, like right after you
Yeah.
take the disc out. But then, so that was last week that I brought those up. And then here's another one: PS5 playing PS4 versions of cross-gen games, um, like Black Ops Cold War with different PS4 and PS5 versions.
I was gonna say I heard that people were playing they would open up their PS5, fire up a PS4 compatible, like backwards compatible game,
Mm-hmm.
but unless they purposely went in and set it to pick the PS5 version, they would still automatically be playing the previous
Yep.
gen version
Yep.
on their new console.
That's exactly what it's saying.
Oh
It's
my
just kind of
gosh.
weird
Yeah, like it's cool that they have the ability to,
capability. Yeah.
right, but it's funny that it automatically defaults to
Yeah.
the previous gen.
Yep. And then the other one, rest mode crashes. So
Ooh.
it'll go into rest mode. Your PlayStation will, um, and it'll consume less power for a little bit. And then whenever you go to fire it back up, bam, you're back in your game or whatever. Um, but this one keeps on hard crashing. So like the Spider-Man remastered and some PS4 games running off like a external hard drive. Whenever it's left in rest mode, it'll like hard crash. So that kind of sucks. Like if you're in the middle of a game and you didn't save it.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
I'm not in that console kind of area though, so I don't really get the whole running your games off an external hard drive anyways, but that seems like a bad idea.
I mean, I won't lie. I do it for my One X, my Xbox One X, just because. Um, I mean, if you get like the proprietary
Yeah.
uh, storage, it's always expensive,
Yeah.
and it's a hard drive, an HDD, just like the one inside the old consoles. At least
Yeah.
now we know that the new ones are running on high speed SSDs with their own custom architecture and whatnot, but
Yeah.
it's just for that extra storage for me
Yeah.
personally.
Yep.
Like, luckily, I haven't run into problems, but I, every time new consoles come out, and even new PC hardware, because that's all these consoles are, is specifically
Yeah. It's yep, it's
specifically
some kind of
constructed.
hardware that they've modified to run
Yeah,
perfectly and yeah, definitely.
exactly.
Yep.
And when these new releases come out, it's always the same deal.
Yeah.
There's always bugs, but these are definitely some gnarly
Yeah.
things to be going on. I mean, you hope they don't become too widespread. I mean, at 360 days, you had the red ring of death.
Yeah.
I don't even like saying that phrase. It used to
I never
it used
had
to
one of
be
those.
oh my
I
gosh, you are
owned
so
I
lucky.
owned 3 Xboxes and never had one.
Wow. I owned 4 Xbox 360s because 3 of them red ringed.
Really? That's
Yeah,
nuts.
It was gnarly.
And it's
Granted, they
so.
were all the old, like the previous model.
Oh,
So
I
we
gotcha.
never upgraded to the new architecture and the new like design.
Yeah.
So we were kind of asking for it at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, like
But
I had the old like silver disc tray one, the white
mhm.
silver disc tray one, and I played the shit out of them, dude. Like I used to leave them running all the time and everything. That's kind of like I'd never had one for whatever reason. It's kind of nuts. But another issue that they're having is a download queue bug. So, there's a bug that's preventing users from modifying downloads or even starting games. Um, it basically is just displaying an error, that it's whatever it is, it's that you don't own it even after you install it. So,
Wow.
yeah, that's awesome, right? I think that's all of them though. Yeah, so that's all of them. So there's three more since last week whenever I had kind of brought it up.
Has Sony? Do we know if Sony's put out any like responses to any of the bugs? I mean, I assume people that have
Um,
contacted support have been talked to, but I wonder if it's become a big enough or
yeah.
common enough problem that they've had.
So these guys don't say that they have reported anything on it or that Sony has come back with anything, but they say that you just basically have to do a full factory reset on your system, re-download everything.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's a fix.
Yeah, but
That's
but like they
something.
said too, they have cloud save. So luckily,
Oh,
whatever
okay.
progress you had in the game, so it's not like uninstalling the game and you lose all your progress. The cloud save is like you get your progress back. So, but it still sucks. You gotta reinstall all that stuff. If you had
Right. I mean,
everything and then Cold War
yeah.
came out, you downloaded it and it says you don't own it. Now you got a full factory reset. That's gonna suck.
Right, especially if you're on some not amazing internet
Yeah, Jelly.
and you're on the digital, yeah,
Shut
and
the
you're on
fuck
the
up, Kyle.
and you're on the digital version of a game,
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
definitely.
you're kind of
You're
screwed there.
screwed.
There's another 3 days before you can play your game.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that puts us at an hour there, guys. We ran through
Holy
that pretty
smokes.
good. Yeah, that was pretty
Easy to
good.
do, I guess.
Yeah. It, a, sometimes it's kind of hard to make it all last. But
Yeah, that's
heck yeah, we'll have to pick up some things for next week then, I guess.
yeah.
But thank you guys for watching. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe. Come check us out live every Saturday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on Twitch. But yeah, that's the end of it.